DeRae, we made it. One episode in. Hopefully we still have some listeners left. We hope that we do. DeRae and Austin Staten. This is episode 2 of Cautious Coffee. How's it going, man?
I'm tired, man.
You're tired?
I am tired. It seems like I have less time these days, even though we're working from home, going to school from home. I barely leave the house.
Yeah, time. It's going to be the theme of today's episode. And it's your most valuable asset. It's probably, arguably one of the most important things in your life because it dictates happiness. It dictates, freedom. It dictates so many different things. And we're going to get into it. I'm excited.
We are going to dive into it a little bit. And, it was my idea to talk about it because I am like the Grinch who stole Christmas when it comes to time. And people asking me if I want to go and do stuff. And
just for background and context, DeRae does not like watching sports. And my Baylor Bears won the national championship in basketball. And I actually flew to Indianapolis to go see them in the national championship game. And I kid you not, DeRae, when Baylor was playing U of H on that Saturday in the Final Four, I thought about texting you and saying, hey, DeRae, I'm having some people over to watch the game, but I hesitated because I was like, I know he's probably going to say no, or he'll say something like, I already got the plans, but should I have just asked you anyways? I don't know. What's the right move there?
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't ask me. You didn't put me in a position where I had to tell you no, because for me, no is a complete sentence, and I don't need any further explanation. But Austin's right. Watching sports is a no-go for me. I was an athlete for 20 years, and I just have no interest. I'd much rather be doing something else. Playing sports, participating in sports, absolutely. I'm there. Sign me up. But watching, no.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a source of entertainment. So we'll get into more of the time conversation, and we kind of want to know what your thoughts are on time. Like, how do you respect it? How do you allocate time for yourself? Why is time important, or is time important for you? Just kind of let us know what you think. Leave us some comments. Of course, you can follow and interact with us on social media. Just search Cautious Coffee, or if you want, you can follow DeRae on his social media platforms if he's active on it at the time. I don't know. He's on and off again. So many, time. And then, of course, cautiouscoffee.com is probably the best spot to find information about this. But DeRae, time. It's something that is so important, and is something that we have so little of. I mean, it's when we go back to the sports reference, Scott Drew, Baylor's head coach, was hired in 2003 after a horrific tragedy at Baylor University. A basketball player shot and killed one of his teammates. That was 18 years ago. And while it was really amazing to see my alma mater win a national championship 18 years ago, I'm 33 years old. To me, it seems like that was just yesterday when I was at Baylor University as a freshman during Scott Drew's third season. 15 years later, he's winning a national championship. But to me, it just shows that time has absolutely flown by. And it's like if you blink, you're going to miss it.
For some people, that is true, Austin. My view on it, having led soldiers, is I would always share with them that you want to be able to anchor each year in something that you accomplished, something that happened in your life. That way you don't think of it as a blink in time, right? You can say, well, I did these 15 things. They anchored every single year, because that is one of my pet peeves when people say, where'd the time go? I'm like, you should know. It's your time. It's your time. And if you don't know where your time went, I know you will not respect my time.
Even if you do know where your time went, it can still go by just like that.
But you did so much.
I agree.
Right?
I agree that you can do so much. But to me, it allows me to understand the importance of time and how you spend your time.
Does it really?
I mean, I think so.
Really? Does it? That's the real question, right?
Can we get a close-up of DeRae's eyes right there?
I often, people will waste time. And
that's true. And I'm guilty of it.
It's painful for me to watch folks waste time, even doing something that they don't necessarily want to do. Like people will do things that they don't want to do with their time. Like you own it, it's yours, and you give it away freely, even though it has like it's your most valuable asset, and people are so willing to give it away. I share a story, a personal story. Just recently, my girlfriend is moving. She was moving. She was moving in with a roommate, and I volunteered to help her move. Okay, I said, hey, lover. I will help you move whatever you need. I volunteered my time, and she took care of it because she's very independent, very strong, and moved all of her stuff on her own. But the mistake that she made that we had to have a heart-to-heart about was she volunteered me to help her roommate move because I have a truck, and we had a conversation about that because she volunteered my time. My time was dedicated to her. I offered it to her. And I was taken aback, to say the least.
It's interesting that you mentioned moving because I actually moved into the place that we're filming right now is my apartment. I live here with my fiance. We moved in February 8th, and Katie and I had two completely different moving strategies. Like I moved in February. Katie's lease ended in like March, so she moved in the middle of March. Mm-hmm. But my strategy was to hire 3-man movers, not a sponsor, but 3-man movers. If you want to sponsor us, give us a call. I hired 3-man movers. I packed everything up. They moved everything from my high-rise apartment to this house, which I call like a retirement center. Because I swear, DeRae, like Katie and I are the only people under the age of 40 that live at this apartment, and that's great. It's much, much quieter. But needless to say, the whole process, going from a high-rise to moving to this apartment, took 3.5 hours. Mm-hmm. They were able to move everything out, get everything set up, and then the rest was left up to me, like unpacking. Yeah. Katie took a different approach. She decided to move things over with like a little cart in batches so she
loves that cart.
Yeah, she loves the cart. She moved it over in batches so she could get things set up, and she probably took 5, 6, 7 trips over here, and her previous apartment was about a mile away. And so let's say that each trip, from moving everything into her car to then the parking garage to taking it out to the car and then here,
adds up.
It's about 45 minutes to an hour each time. So you can ballpark 7 hours right there. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, she hired movers to move her furniture. And that was another 3 hours. And so she wanted to be able to save money from not, paying movers as much. Yeah. But in actuality, did she spend more money because she gave up her time when she could have been doing something that was maybe bringing her more fulfillment, more joy, or perhaps working?
That's what we call opportunity cost.
Right.
And, she's probably well versed in it, but
she's smarter than me.
If you think about, it's a common mistake that managers make in for-profit organizations or even nonprofit people in their own lives. They think they're saving money, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're actually increasing the opportunity cost as opposed to decreasing it. You see it happen all the time, but I think she may have, wanted a little more control over what was going on.
That's fair. That's fair. But my thought process is like,
just hire movers.
Yeah, just hire movers. And for me, I know some people are more diligent about packing, and I waited until the very, very last minute to pack. And it sucked because I got no sleep. I stayed up like all night. But at the end of the day, I was done moving in 4 hours. And granted, I did have to pay $800 for movers, which is probably way more than I should have.
Worth every penny.
I thought it was worth every penny. Yeah. Because I was still able to be efficient, run errands while they were moving, and then actually start unpacking things while they were still moving stuff in. So I thought that it was worth my time. But that kind of gets me back to thinking, like in 2020, do you feel like 2020 and 2021, since the pandemic has started, has allowed you to have a better use of your time, or has it made it more difficult to time manage? I mean, you started grad school during a pandemic. Like, who does that?
Yes,
Who
business
goes back?
school.
Who goes back and gets their MBA during a pandemic?
Yep. Have an MPA, went back to business school because I want to know how this monopoly game that is capitalism works, and just wanted to become a master of it. And it's really given me so much more time. Working from home, I love it. My office setup, going to school from home, I love it. It's hard to get me to leave the house. I set up a whole gym in my garage. I have everything I need there. There's a meme out there, and there's this fella, he's like pointing at everything. Like, why do you never leave the house? And he's like, I have food in the refrigerator. I have a TV. I have a gym set. He's like, he's got all this stuff. He's like, I have everything I need.
If you're watching this video, whether it's on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, you can tell that between the two of us, one of us is a former Olympic level athlete, and it's probably this guy right here. But yeah, I do understand. Like, sometimes you just don't want to give up your time because you understand how important it is. And in that regard, you're selfish. You're selfish, but it's okay. To be selfish.
That's what I'm here to tell you.
Yes.
It is okay to be selfish with your time. You own it. It is yours.
Yeah.
You can say no.
That is the hardest thing. I feel like sometimes people feel, and myself included, feel obligated. If someone asks you to go to dinner, just to catch up, but you realize that you don't really want to spend 2 hours of your time
or 3 hours with Houston traffic.
Yeah, visiting that person. But sometimes we do it anyways. And again, it comes down to like that opportunity cost. Are you really looking out for number one? And I think it's okay to look out for number one.
Because you can better look out for everyone else if you're looking out for number one.
Yeah.
Okay. And to put practice into action, my girlfriend, who I've known for a couple of years now, ever since her and I have had a relationship, I've always told her to put herself first. Don't ever put me ahead of it. I want to be like priority number 9 or 10. Like, I just want to crack the top 10. Because I really want her focused on her own well-being, managing her time efficiently, and getting the most out of her life, because tomorrow is not promised.
It's not promised. We saw DMX, for example, pass away. So for full transparency, we're recording this episode on April 10th. DMX passed away April 9th, and he was 50 years old. That's crazy. I was texting with a friend, Simon, who lives over in Germany, and he responded, he said something about DMX dying and how he was listening to his music, and said, that's crazy to me that could be 14 years away.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, it could be tomorrow.
Yep.
We have no idea when our time is. So that's why I think you should live life to the fullest. And I think it's okay to be selfish at times. In fact, one of my good friends, Hattie Horn, when she was speaking on like kindness and like self-care, she told me that you can't talk about being kind to other people if you can't be kind to yourself. And I thought she hit the nail on the head there. And I think that is 100% true as well with time. You can't be gracious to other people if you're not gracious to yourself, if you're not self-serving at times. Now, I think there's a difference between being selfish and snobbish versus being protective of your time and knowing your worth and protecting your worth.
But I think it's also, you need to be respectful of other people's time if they say no. If they
100%.
offer to go do something or want you to go, watch, Baylor University Houston game, be okay with them telling you no. And I think that's part of that's what's contentious. Is people have this expectation coming in when they're asking you for something that, they kind of point the gun of shame at you. And, they put you on a guilt trip and you kind of feel forced to say yes when you really want to say no. But stand your ground. Don't back down.
And 100% too. Like that's one of the things that bugs me in life is when people are late.
Yeah.
When they tell you, like you mentioned Baylor Houston. I had a few friends that came over to watch the game, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Game started, tip-off was like 4:14. And I remember it was 4:14 because that's such a weird time to tip a game. Not 4:15, but 4:14. And I had a few friends that showed up at like 4:10, right before tip-off. I had 2 friends that didn't show up till close to 5 o'clock, like right at halftime. And to me, that was a little bit frustrating, because these friends, they are always habitually late. We had a meeting at Topgolf a few weeks ago on a Friday night. There were several of us that went there. And we said that we would arrive probably around 7:15, 7:30. They didn't show up until about 8:15, 8:30. And it's, while we were still fine, with the people that were there having the conversation, it's just frustrating. And sometimes it happens with dinner too. And it's like, I get being caught up in traffic every now and then. I mean, we live in the fourth largest, soon to be third largest city in this country, but you can't be habitually late. I mean, that's just
Austin.
That's just so rude.
Is this you? Or is this them? Who is this? Who is this on, actually? All things considered, right? Think about all your world travels.
Yeah.
And all the different cultures you've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And understanding that in some places, in some parts of the world, people are going to be late. That is
people are going to be late.
It is a Western ideal.
So here's actually a funny part. The guy that I'm referring to that was late, he's one of my good friends, Jeremy. We're fraternity brothers. We went to Baylor together. Probably about 2 weeks ago, we went to dinner at El Tiempo. It was myself, Jeremy, and my friend Hunter. We were catching up, and I think it was probably like a Wednesday night, 9:30. So El Tiempo is already starting to close down, and we realized that we're one of the last people on the patio, but we're still having conversation and finishing up our drinks. And I guess Jeremy's mom called, and I think she was sick, or maybe Jeremy had to go pick something up, and he was supposed to be there, let's call it like 9:15, 9 o'clock or something like that. His mom calls, he picks up, and he's like, yeah, I'm on, I just got on to 59 right now, just got on to 59. And 59 is the freeway where he said that he was, then heading to his mom's house to drop something off, pick something off. I don't know. 20 minutes later, we finally leave the restaurant. Jeremy finally leaves the restaurants, but that's the type of person he is. Yeah. Like, he will flat out lie to make you feel better that he's on his way.
Yeah.
But then it's 20 to 30 minutes.
Well, I hate that. Just own it.
Yeah, right? Just own it. Just
own it.
We're going to be late.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Be transparent with people.
Yes.
Be transparent. If you're going to be late, let people know.
That's part of owning it, though, right? But they understand that you have this expectation of them, and they want to cater to that. And I think that's cowardly. So I'm saying that right now, Jeremy. Stop it.
Jeremy's like, unsubscribe. 1-star review on this podcast.
Because it's your time. You are free to be late. This is a free country, and you can be as late as you want to be, or just say no.
Yeah. There is actually a book that I read. It was called The Culture Map. It was written by Erin Meyer. Wanted to make sure I got her last name right. But it goes into discussing how to communicate across cultures, specifically in the business sense. And I remember when I was working in Oman in 2018, the way that they worked was a little bit different. I remember, in the US, for example, if you send someone a note, like, hey, DeRae, can you complete this report? You might respond back, I'm on it, or I'll have it to you by end of day, something like that. In Oman, they will not respond to you until they have it done.
Yeah.
And you have no idea when that can be.
Yeah.
And so I think what this book tells you is it shows that people value time differently throughout the world. They have different ways of communicating time throughout the world. And so we have to be respectful of other people and learning that we're all different. We all have our different standards, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get worked up.
It's not worth it.
It really isn't. And then you're going to, kind of put some stress on that relationship, and you're going to be wanting them to change. I mean, just, this is your friend, fraternity brother.
Yeah.
You guys aren't going anywhere. There's no need necessarily to get upset of it. It's more a reflection of you and your ability to, be, agile or nimble in your thinking than anything else, right? You're the one that's upset. He's fine.
Shockingly, he was late to his own wedding. He was late to his own wedding.
So, and I have a story about being in the Middle East. I was deployed to Afghanistan for a year, running retrograde operations, and part of my job was getting third-party contractors. So these, they call them jingle trucks. So it's just basically a semi that's pulling up, and they have a certain time they need to come through the gate, and they need to be escorted, and there's this whole kind of dog and pony show that goes on. And I have, like a crew of 20 guys, 20 soldiers. And, we are expecting to have our work day, from sun up to sundown just about. But, these third party folks who are locals, they may show up at noon. Okay. So that's half of our work day, but we still need to get the same amount of work done.
Yeah.
So fine. I can live with that. I'm not going to try to swim upstream on this. I'm going to make the adjustments because, hey, when in Rome. And, I would let my guys, stay up to all hours of the night, speak to folks back home, and then we get up and we would work hard to get all that stuff out of the gate and get it on the road to get it back to where it came from. So, be nimble, be understanding, understand that the cultures are, that was about our last episode about racism. I mean, part of that is, we're bumping heads culturally.
Yeah.
And wanting everyone to assimilate into a certain way of life when, there's beauty in all of our differences.
We're not different either. Like that's another, going back to the Oman situation.
Yeah.
Like
at the core, we're the same.
Like we're the same people. There's a guy there named Omar, and we became friends over there. I remember there was one night where. So I guess in Oman, the only places where you can have really adult beverage, are at hotels or resorts in the country. We went to this like resort. That's basically where people go, like expats go on like Friday nights. They'll go to like let's call it like the Hilton or something like that, and they have like live music, like outdoor patios, like shisha, all of that kind of stuff. And we just had beers and we're chatting for like 5 hours.
Yeah,
and it was so great to be able to hear his perspective on life, his perspective on family, what it meant, to see his father work his ass off and provide for his family. And now he wants to do the same thing for his kids, and hearing about like religion too. So, I think it's a body. So they're, so we mostly hear of like Sunni and Shiite, and I can't think of the other one, but a body is a more conservative version of Islam, and it really focuses on like respect.
Yeah.
But even after having like conversations on religion, we realize there's not much difference at all between Christianity, Islam, Judaism. Like all these religions are based on the same principles.
Abrahamic. Yeah.
Yeah. And even though we grew up in two completely different societies, our worldview is very, very similar. We want to learn, we want to grow, we want to have conversations with people. And
the narratives may be different.
The path that got us there is different.
Yeah.
But we were both hungry, wanting to explore, have conversations with people. And that's why I tell people, if you're going to spend your time anywhere, like traveling in particular, don't just go to a beach for 7 days.
You're right. All right. Yeah. Get out there.
Don't just go. Don't go to the tourist spots. Yeah. Ask the locals what to do. Talk with the locals. Go to coffee shops. To game plan. Don't go to the most popular restaurant. Go to the place where the locals are standing outside. Whether that's a food truck, a cart, or a hawker stand, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's where you're gonna make the most out of your time. In my sense,
that's generating value with your time. I like to stay in hostels. When I travel,
I do not stay in hostels anymore. Ever since I realized I could pay for hotels or Airbnbs.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's more so the people that are there.
I get that. I just don't like sleeping on. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
I was in Austria. It was 2008. I was a sophomore or junior in college. My sister had just graduated from high school, and we used to teach this baseball camp in Germany. And after the baseball camp, we decided to travel Europe for 2 weeks. My sister, having just graduated high school, had really never been away from home. We were in Austria, staying at Balmer's, a hostel in the Swiss Alps. Absolutely gorgeous place called Interlaken. Extreme sports capital of the world. You'd probably like it. The skydiving opportunities there.
Yeah. There's a really cool gondola to bungee jump from there.
Yeah. It's the tallest in Europe, I believe. But the first night that we're there, there's like 8 people in our hostel.
Love it.
And I'm fine with it. I enjoy meeting the other people. But my sister wasn't used to the drunk aspect of the hostel.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a Canadian, actually, that probably 2-3 o'clock in the morning, comes into the room in the hostel and starts peeing everywhere.
Oh,
And my sister is mortified.
yeah.
And
That's a toss-up.
Yeah, luckily our bags were elevated, and so nothing was harmed. But then they came in like arrested the guy, and so she's terrified. Yeah. And so, really, ever since then, it's been Airbnbs and hotels. So I hear you on the conversation aspect, but
I'm very particular, right? Like, but I can really appreciate the type of folks because they're just regular people, right? Yeah. But they have like this really interesting curiosity, and they ask you questions about your country, and you see that they're there trying to generate value too for their time.
Exactly.
And I can just really appreciate that. My girlfriend is Muslim, so I think we had a bit of a culture gap when she volunteered my time to help her friend, thinking that, hey, what's the difference between you helping me or me helping you? And I had to say, well, I lay with you. So, that's the difference right there. So let's keep that in mind next time you think about volunteering my time to one of your friends. If they want to come and, lay with me too, then we can do that. But
might cause a little bit more drama.
I'm just saying I wanted to understand where I'm coming from and respect my time.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
All right. So to close this episode out, I think we need to look at this time not only as your greatest asset, but time is money. And for example, me, I'm not going to spend my time going on a 15-hour road trip. Like, that's just a complete waste of time. I would rather fly, pay $200-$300 for that flight, get there in 2 hours time. When you're looking at time, how do you kind of value that as, a financial asset?
Simple arithmetic. Just look at how much money I made last year for the most part I work 160 hours a month on average. I'm not counting vacation or days off or any of that. I'm just saying, hey, 160 hours a month. I'm doing the division, and then I'm getting my hourly rate for what my time is worth. The 8 hours that you would typically work in a day, and I apply that to everything. So the 3 hours or so that I would have spent here, well, I know how much that costs me in dollars, right? And money is made up, so that's only just a measurement of time, not necessarily value, right? The value that I got out of this is intrinsic value here that I really enjoy. Getting to share this experience with you. So I'm not saying just say no to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm saying make sure that it's going to be of value to you. Like, really scrutinize how you spend your time.
That is one of the most interesting things that I've learned in the last 2 months. So I went from a corporate job to an agency job, and we have to do time allocations now. You've got to we've got multiple clients, and so you're having to allocate, every 15 minutes to a client. There's a bill rate. So you know what your bill rate is per hour. And it's the same thing like with traffic. Like, do I really want to go somewhere and meet somebody at 5 o'clock on a Friday? The answer is probably no, because I have exactly sitting in traffic. Would I perhaps want to meet that person, but maybe have coffee with them at 10 o'clock in the morning? I'd be more inclined to something like that because I can get there in a quicker time period and not have to spend more time out of my day. And that's actually one of the things that I like about working from home. So don't get me wrong. I miss the office environment. I miss being able to interact with people. But I think we've actually been more efficient at home because we don't have to spend 2 hours a day in the car. If we need to get something done at, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if we have to run a quick errand, we can.
Take a nap
to recharge. You can. But you're still able to get stuff done. And so for me, I would say you don't have to allocate all of your time, but think of yourself as like a consultant, right? Know what your hourly rate is, similar to what DeRae said, and allocate your time. Is it worth, X amount of dollars to do this? And if it's not, don't do it. I think you can be a little bit flexible. I still think you need to focus on mental health and what brings you joy. So going back to the start of it, if going to March Madness and watching your alma mater play in the national championship brings you joy, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay.
It's your time to do it as you please.
Exactly. But know what makes you happy, and it's okay to be selfish on that note.
Absolutely. If anyone ever tells me no, I can't do it, DeRae, I'm like, I understand.
Unless it's skydiving, because if it's skydiving, I told DeRae no like 15 times.
So that's a different story. That's a different story.
We'll get into that in another episode. But DeRae, it's been great chatting with you here on episode 2 of Cautious Coffee.
Yes.
And for our listeners out there, we want to hear from you. Let us know what you thought of this episode. We encourage you to leave a 5-star review on iTunes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, smash the like button, hit subscribe, share it with friends, family, anyone that really wants to listen. Of course, you can follow us on social media. Just search @Cautious Coffee. Subscribe to the website, cautiouscoffee.com. DeRae, send us home.
Please reach out to us on the Cautious Coffee. We would like to open dialogue, not necessarily debate. Austin and I love sitting here chatting, but we're looking for solutions. We're tired of hearing about people talking. That's how we started Cautious Coffee, to start calling things to action. So until next time.
We'll see you.